off the volume because it will launch YouTube. So give me a second. Okay, we should be live. And I've just muted. Perfect. Hi.
Island.
So nice to see you, Gita.
Yeah, you too. I'm excited to be here.
And where are you calling from today? Where are you?
I am from the Bay Area in
Yes.
California.
Wonderful. I'm, as you know, in Italy today. Um,
Amazing.
no complaints, although I think I've probably put on a good 5 pounds since I've been here because, oh my God, the gelato between the pasta and the gelato, it's like,
I'm
oh.
sure.
So
It's
anyway,
okay. It's happy weight.
it's happy weight, but this is a good topic because we're going to get into your products today, Nishi, which are really, really interesting on a lot of levels. First of all, they're delicious. Second of all, they're good ingredients. Third, they are hormone positive and help you balance out your hormones. And fourth, they're good for just about everyone.
Absolutely.
So, and you're going to have more things than that, but that's my list of why I think they're good. And I started using your products a few months ago, and also got it for my daughter and love, love, love it. So let's just start with what it is, why you even decided to do this, because we know being an entrepreneur is a crazy, crazy journey, not for the faint of heart.
Yes. So I started Nishi products actually for my girls. I didn't have the intention of launching a brand. I was working in high tech at the time doing M&A, global sales ops, and my oldest daughter was just bedridden during her menstrual cycle. She would have cramps so severe, even ibuprofen wouldn't help. Her flow was really heavy. She had acne. She had, so many things that kids these days deal with at such a young age. And I knew exactly what she was going through.
Yeah,
When I was
yeah,
that age, I had horrible periods. My mom eventually put me on birth control. And I don't know that it made it better, right? It made my periods a little lighter, my cramps a little lighter, but they were still really bad. But then I had all these newfound symptoms, headaches, stomach aches, weight gains, digestive issues. And I never realized that it was from the pill. And I think, the pill works great for so many people. It just didn't work for
yeah.
me. And so I didn't want to do that to her. So I started doing a lot of research around functional foods, their healing properties. When we were kids, we would go visit my grandmother in the village of India. And anytime something was wrong with us, if it wasn't severe, she'd go to the kitchen first. So I
Oh,
just grew
interesting.
up, yeah, that mentality around like food can be so healing. And my mom takes that approach a lot as well. And so with Anjali, my daughter, I started doing that. I was talking to doctors, and when we came up with the right formula, it was amazing. Within a week, her skin started clearing up and her mood was super balanced. And then on the next time she got her period, she didn't have heavy cramps. Her flow was much lighter. Her period was so much shorter. And the benefits just kept coming. And I noticed the same thing. Not only did my periods become so light, so short, my perimenopause symptoms went away. And so, I was waking up. I hit perimenopause in my late 30s, so it's pretty early. And I had
Yeah.
night sweats and hot flashes, and I was tired all the time. And I had these weird cravings and just, all these things I wasn't used to. And so it was really cool to see kind of month after month the benefits we were seeing. And as a mom, I took a lot of time crafting our products to be really like nutritious, macro balanced. So the kids are getting the protein and fiber and they're not getting a lot of bad ingredients. But from a kid's perspective, I knew it had to taste good, right? So
Yeah,
it took a
exactly.
lot of time because you don't want to force them into taking everything. And so then just seeing the benefits we both experienced, I started sharing it with friends and family. And we did kind of a little, self-run trial. And it was amazing. People started texting me out of the data collection system, and they were just like, Gita, it's amazing. I never thought I could feel good on my cycle like this. And then the list of benefits just kept growing and growing. And
Interesting.
so that's, here we
And then
are.
you decided, if it works for so many people, then why not launch a business, right?
Well, I always had this in the back of my mind. I would spend time volunteering with the foundations of the tech companies that I worked for. And so in the back of my mind, I always thought, my next step is going to be to do something where I'm giving back. And I had always thought, okay, that's a nonprofit. But then I sat down one day and realized I have something right here that's helping people. Why,
Yeah.
why does it have to be this complicated process? So that's when we launched.
Well, it is interesting because, of course, you're in a category that's much more regulated than hair care.
Right.
So that is some extra hurdles that you had to jump through, that I really didn't. And it's both good and bad, I suppose. Beauty as an industry is just, especially in the US, is rough because it does have so many ingredients and things that are not great. But even in our food, okay, and this is a big difference I've noticed being in Italy, right? Everything here has to be a certain standard, in terms of no preservatives or certain, there's a serious limit to the things that they have. Even there's no food dyes and things like that. Sorry. Sorry about that. We're just having a little bit of work done. Hopefully it's not too disruptive.
No, you're fine.
Okay, so you're able to make products that basically are these elevated standards, which the US consumer is not really used to,
That's
sadly.
true. That's true. We've been very thoughtful in how we've crafted the products. Definitely, to the point of no preservatives or very clean ingredients, and it is more expensive. But I think, it's absolutely the right thing to do for our bodies. And that's been a struggle. There's been a huge shift in this better for you food movement over the last couple of years. But
Yeah,
so many consumers have fallen for this. If it's better for you, it's going to taste worse. And that's been a problem with me is our products taste, I get so often they're like, oh my gosh, this tastes like the real thing. I get
yeah.
this real thing a lot. It's like, what else would it taste like, right?
But you're like, but it actually is the real thing.
It is
That's
the real thing, right? We're not using these fillers or
right.
preservatives or weird ingredients to cut corners. And it is the real thing because that's the best way to nourish your body as well.
I just wish there was an easier way to educate people on some of this, because the challenge we have as small brands is we're the ones doing all the heavy lifting, right?
Right.
Because the big brands have no interest in, you know, um, telling people to, avoid certain ingredients or preserve because they have them in their products.
Yeah,
So it's like,
exactly.
here we are, we're having to really do all this, ex- you know, heavy lifting, education, information, but it is worth it in the end. And especially, so you have two, it's, if you do a Venn diagram, you've got ingredient clean education, but then you also have like hormonal education.
Yes.
That's hard too, because I can't tell you how many women, well, now my age, menopausal women, when I was growing up, we didn't really talk about this stuff. No
Right.
one, the conversation you were having with your daughter just didn't really exist.
Same, same with my mom. Right. It didn't
Yeah,
exist.
wasn't really a thing. And even now with my daughter, they talk about it, but it's still novel. Like she just kind of goes, well, I don't, there's really nothing you can do, right? And the most common thing I think her and her friends talk about is birth control.
Right.
Like,
Because
do
that's what the doctor suggests, right? That's the first sort of line of defense. And for a lot of doctors, that's the only line of defense. Um,
you think the doctors don't know better? Or like, what do you think the resistance is there from a medical community?
that's really kind of a three-part approach. I think a lot don't know better. I think
Yeah,
there is this entire group of doctors where if it's not, certified by the medical associations or the pediatric medical associations, they don't want to talk about it because it's not
yep,
understood. And then there is this entire integrative health, nutrition focused set of doctors who are very receptive to all of these types of things. And, they themselves, and one of the things I'm very proud of is all of our doctors have tried our products. They themselves are customers. So they really believe in it. And
they
when they're talking
understand
to
it.
their
Yeah,
patients about it, and yeah, they understand it. And so those are the doctors that are definitely more open to it doesn't have to be a prescription medication. There are so many ways that you can nourish your body. And they're looking at it more of a quality of life, right? If you're taking this,
Hmm.
very clean nut butter spread that's
Yeah,
doing these things for your body, what's the downside? Go for it, right?
yeah,
It's
there's
clean
no
ingredients,
downside.
things you would eat every day. and they're really excited to give people different options. So I think it just depends on the camp they're in.
But I found in my own, I had breast cancer, I had, a number of doctors, and there was a huge difference, in my opinion, between various oncologists, surgeons, and not their capabilities so much as their attitude.
Right.
Some of them, like I had a oncologist in Massachusetts who was extremely old school. And when I asked about supplements, is there anything I could be taking to make sure my cancer doesn't come back? I had a very rare aggressive cancer that's likely to come back. So that was something I was very, thinking about a lot. And she literally said to me, no. And I
Right.
was like, that doesn't seem right to me. There's got to be something natural. And then of course I started doing research. I have a friend who is a nurse practitioner, and she also had gone through breast cancer, and she had done a ton of research and was like, you should be taking turkey tail. Then we
Hmm.
found doing,
Interesting.
yep, turkey tail is really good. Mushroom. It's a mushroom, Coriolis mushroom. And then I also take fucodoin, which is actually in my hair care product. It's part of our seaweed. And there are all sorts of studies in
Mhm.
Asia about the cancer fighting properties. But my point is, like, Western medicine, conventional doctors, this is like woo woo to them.
Right.
You know
It's
what I
not
mean?
understood.
A lot of them. I shouldn't say all of them. When I ended up switching oncologists, actually, my new oncologist is much more open-minded. And he was like, oh, yeah, take the mushrooms, take this, take that. And so, how do you how do you find those doctors that are more
That's the
receptive? I mean,
problem.
it's a psychographic thing. It's not
Right.
like you can just look up which doctors are going to be, willing to share this.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? It's a lot of digging and research and talking to them to see which ones are more open to it, but it is harder to find. I think they're opening up though. A lot of doctors are getting there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people have gotten much more receptive to the benefits of um, sort of Eastern medicine and different ways of thinking
Right.
about things. And and also for you, culturally, this was right. Like you talked about your mom, and this was sort of the kitchen logic, which is
Right.
I find that some of that tradition is not being passed down as much anymore, because now what's happening is we are living in completely different places far away from each other, right? It's like we don't
Right.
have that family, all that nuclear family, and the even extended family is not all together anymore. So it's just it's like some of that wisdom is being lost, and sadly we're going to have to count on AI to
Right. Although
well,
I have to say, FaceTime and all of these Zoom, they definitely offer some connection back that had been lost for a while. So that definitely helps.
yeah. So what about, because I think the beauty of your product, yes, it's great for someone like me who's older, but I think it's really, really great for the youngsters, right?
Right.
Who don't really know, and maybe don't feel comfortable. Not all of them want to talk to their parents about this. So how do you infiltrate that group? That's got to be tough.
That, one thing that I found that is a tough group. And, because I started the products for my girls, that's really where we focused our attention early on. But then I realized these girls are not only asking their moms for Nishi, but they're asking their moms to dye their hair and get their nails done and this new type of
Right.
makeup and, whatever. And so as a mom, it's also really hard to prioritize something that you're going to have to force your kids to do. So what we found is the girls are latching on through their parents. So they're seeing their mother benefit, then they're coming and trying the products, and then they're so vocal at that age that it's amazing. I have one client who's she started in middle school who lives in our neighborhood, and she is our biggest advocate. She's talking she'll have sleepovers and friends over and whatever. And the mom is like, not a single time goes by where she doesn't talk about Nishi. And it's been amazing. So
Interesting. Is she on
yeah, it's really
TikTok?
yeah, I don't know. I should ask her.
Yeah,
So it's really the focus in the growth area has been the moms and then the daughters sort of latch on.
that makes sense. But I also think these days with vibrators sold at Target and things being more sort of accepted, like my daughter and her friends talk about this kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
they talk about it, but they don't. And it meaning they talk about everything. Like nothing's off limits.
Yes. Yes.
But at the same time, it's like they don't know what they don't know. And they're not even realizing that this is something that they can actually solve, if that makes sense. Like a lot,
Correct.
yeah, because like my daughter had this, oh, I just thought that was the way it was. Like I had to just
Right.
like deal with it. So it's not even like they even talked about it because she didn't even think it was like a thing to even put out there to get an
Right.
answer for, if that makes
Right.
sense. So, but this is a big white space opportunity for you, I think.
It is. I mean, I think, with three girls all knowing what their mom does, and they're probably,
Yeah.
they're my sales force. People in our area definitely know there's something you could do. But you're right, most people don't. And I think it's not just that age, it's all women, right? They
Yeah,
don't
that's
realize that there's something they can do. But the good thing is people are definitely more open. I would always tell the kids, I hope you have this kind of period power, period independence. And I would give them the example of when we were kids. And when we were kids, our pads were huge, right? They were
oh my
thick, they
God.
took up a lot of space, and we would quietly put them in our sleeve and we'd scurry to the bathroom in between classes. And we felt the need to hide everything. And I kept telling them, I was like, I really hope you guys don't feel that way. And all of them are like, Mom, nobody cares. If we get
Yeah.
our period, we'll yell across the hall, Hey, do you have a pad? And someone will throw at you. And I was like, you don't understand how happy this
Yeah,
makes me.
that's
Right? It's the little things. So I think they're all getting there. They are talking about so many things we didn't talk about. But I think also women our age are talking, right? Our parents didn't talk to us about these things. They didn't talk to their friends, but we're all talking about menopause. So many of my friends have
oh my God.
menopause chat
Yeah.
groups in their neighborhood and whatever. And so they will tell people in their community, hey, I use Nishi and this is the benefit. And it's great because women are open to trying things and they'll order and they'll see the benefits. So it's that part of it with the open communication is really nice.
Yeah, that's cool. So, okay, so how old are your daughters?
18, 14, and 10.
Oh, interesting ages, boy.
Yes, but they're all good ages to be put to work in different ways.
Well, I was going to ask you, are any of them involved in the business?
They all are. So my oldest one, she does a lot of our marketing, graphics, photography, web work.
Awesome.
The middle one has done a lot of like recipe development with me. They all can, we do a lot of pop-ups and they can do it by themselves at this point, set up, they'll talk to customers, they'll take orders. My younger one, she loves to do like the repeat work. So she'll
Yeah.
help me pack orders or create, different things or put stickers on or she gets a kick out of that. So she's been packing since she was very little. And they
And do you
all they
think
all
they
have their
want to
parts that they
stay
love.
with it? Yeah. Is this something that
Yeah,
is, yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
because like my kids were very reluctant helpers for me, and I have to really coerce them. My daughter does more now, but they were not voluntarily helping, chiming in and helping me with stuff. So that's great. But maybe it's because also they feel your daughters feel like, well, you made the product for them,
Right.
you
Well,
so
they're also teenagers and you sometimes have to force them along the path. But
yeah.
if it's a pop-up event, they're ready to go.
Oh, that's
Um,
great.
and it I think it's finding what they love, right? My older daughter, she's
Yeah.
very artistic. So if I say, "Hey, I'm filming this reel," she knows she's going to do it better than I will. She'll jump into action. If we just launched on Amazon and she was like, "Oh, let me look," because she knows she's more artistic than I am. She'll go
Yep.
through the graphics. And my middle one, she's super creative in the kitchen, right? So she's like, Mom, why don't you make this instead of that? And like she'll come up with great ideas. She's come up with product ideas that we've sold. So it's really fun to see
Mm.
where they blossom and where they kind of naturally latch onto and grow. Is definitely helped them with their public speaking, like beyond anything I could imagine. It's been
Now,
great for that.
you just had one that was like interested in finance and accounting. Now that would be a
That's the
dream.
oldest, so that's the path she's
Oh,
going down.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Not
That's something I'm
accounting,
like,
but
I wish one of
finance.
you would do that because I need that help. but it's just, anyway. All right, let's jump into your products specifically.
Yeah,
You have them there, right? I'd love for you to show
I do.
them and let's talk a little bit more about them, how you use them, what
Yeah.
actually is in them. That would be cool.
So this is our dark cacao spread. It's a chocolate almond butter. We've got kind of the symptoms it addresses and everything right on here. So this is, it's almonds, pumpkin seeds, flax seeds, cacao, coconut sugar. Super clean, easy ingredients. You don't have to change them up throughout the month. You can just, you have a spoon every day. And a lot of people, when they start, will ask me how I use it. And I'll give them ideas, right? You can put it on toast with fruit or berries or on a parfait or mix it in your coffee. But I eat it just right off the spoon because
I
it's
just eat
easy.
it.
It's an afternoon pick me up. And it's so funny because when we do pop-up events, I'll see them again. And they're like, hey, I eat it off the spoon now too. I get that so much. So it's delicious. It's not super sweet. It's very dark chocolatey. And one of our dietitians actually did a great reel on this. She's like, do you remember when you ate 6, 7, 14 spoons of Nutella? Like, I have a better solution for you. And it's exactly
Yeah.
what it is, right? Because it's not that potent sugar that's pulling you back in.
Great. But it does satisfy that
It
craving.
does. Yes. And so the best way to use it, any of our products, is you have one serving every day for the first full month. And at
Okay.
that point, whether it's before your next period cycle or you're dealing with your perimenopause symptoms, unless somebody has something that's not hormonal, so say endometriosis, something like that,
Yeah.
people have seen such a huge difference. So PMS, PCOS, PMDD, all of these things through perimenopause, menopause, if they're consistent, pretty much everybody has seen a big difference. And then we have these protein powders, and they come in 3 different flavors. There's a vanilla cacao and a cacao peanut butter. And I really wanted people to A, have a nut-free option, but B, just so many women need not only that boost of protein, but also the boost of fiber. So our protein
Yeah.
powders have both. Um, and people are super creative. So they'll put it in pancakes, a smoothie, their coffee. I have a woman who puts it in her salad dressing, which I was like, wow, that's really
Yeah,
interesting.
that's very
A new
interesting. I would
one.
not have thought of that.
I would not have thought of that either. But yeah, I think it gives you an option to, you have some creativity of how you want to use these products. And if not, you can always just grab a spoonful and it's easy.
Yeah. It's funny. There was another supplement brand that we had in the CBC at the time. And they had lion's mane in their
Mm.
product. It was like a cognitive
Yep.
powder. And we used to make peanut butter cookies and add it in, and it was
Oh,
delicious.
nice.
So
That's
I bet,
interesting.
yeah, I bet if I might try that with your powder. I'm gonna have to think about that. If you make, yeah, certain, not all kinds of cookies, but you could probably do that. It would probably be, I wonder if it changes though the makeup of the ingredients with cooking or heating. I
It
don't know.
does, but you can cook with them. That's not a
Oh,
problem. So we've done cookies, pancakes. My daughter and her husband did a reel with this chocolate peanut butter bar. Sorry, my daughter and her boyfriend that they came up with. And it was actually like the best tasting thing I have tried. So if
ooh.
you get some, that peanut butter bark they made is fantastic.
Interesting. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what is next for you? Like you talked about how one of your daughters is like a formulator brain coming up with ideas. I'm sure you've got other things kind of in the hopper.
We do. So right now, we've actually shrunk our product line. So we had a lot of cold ship products that made it really hard to scale the business. So we've really focused on these 2 dry ship products and we just launched on Amazon. So that's been going well. That's exciting. So that's kind of the next near term focus. And then maybe next year we'll get into some of the other products that I have on my list and try to get those out to market as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you launched on Amazon. I know some people are still very reticent, but like we've been on Amazon for about 5 years, and for us as a
Hmm,
small business, it's been fantastic
that's
because
great.
it's one of the few places where there's very low barrier to get on
Right.
and get your stuff listed. And yes, there are challenges of, optimizing your listings and your keywords and your images and all that. But
Right.
once you kind of do that, I am super happy because we just get sales every day and I don't have to, I can work on something else. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh, I'll go on like once a month and just tweak, but it's basically on autopilot, which is great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to give you any of my learning and tips and tricks along the way because it's I've a lot of people have used agencies and I am bootstrapped and scrappy, so
That's awesome. I
no
love it. We'll have
agency
that
here.
conversation soon.
Yeah,
Once I have some learnings, I'll pick your
yeah,
brain.
yeah. No problem. Awesome. Well, this was really good and very interesting. Love hearing the story, and it's so nice to talk to founders who are doing positive things and making positive changes in the world, which all of us in the PBC are. But your story is just super interesting, and I think will resonate with so many women. So thank you for sharing and for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Any parting words you want to share for anyone listening?
I would say, time to focus on self-care. We all let that go and we all let ourselves fall to the bottom of the list. And Nishi and so many of the products in the PBC give you an easy way to do that.
Oh my God, that's such a good message. Thank you for that reminder because it's true. All right. Well, thanks for joining, and we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.